This is the AEW Collision October 26, 2024 full show results video which takes place at Cedar Rapids, Iowa. They open with a recap of Jon Moxley and the boys running Rush Out and Orange Cassidy running in. Then they show footage from immediately after Dynamite and everyone in the ring, and Cassidy pushes Daniel Garcia away, shouting, "I told you this was going to happen." Garcia tells him to take this out on them, not each other, and Cassidy could be heard saying he is going to take care of this Wednesday before walking out. They come into the Alliant Energy Powerhouse in Cedar Rapids for Collision and immediately promote the Cassidy appearance they just showed video of moments before. Tony Schiavone and Nigel McGuinness tell us Chuck Taylor is still in a hospital recovering, and Nigel says he got to talk to Wheeler Yuta and got some answers, and that will air later on. Then we saw a match between Jay White versus Shane Taylor, and the result of this match was Jay White defeated Shane Taylor by pinfall when Taylor couldn't get him up, and that gave him the opening to hit the Blade Runner. After the match, White asked for the microphone and he said he's known Taylor for years and he hits a lot harder than he does, so does Hangman, but maybe that's why he gets under Page's skin so easily. Hangman is hell-bent on coming after him, he says. Is that because despite how tough and good he's supposed to be, White has always been ahead of him throughout their careers? White says he hopes Page is rehabbing his knee and he's sure he's planning and scheming and taking aim, but if he comes for him he best not miss. But this is the year of redemption, so he's going to give him one more chance, and he proposes a match between the two for Full Gear, and if he ain't down with that, 2 words for him: guns up. Lexi backstage to interview Ricochet and she asks about MVP and the card he gave him on Dynamite. Ricochet says they have a history and Shelton Benjamin is a beast inside the ring, but he's out of this world. Because of that, he came to AEW to do his thing. Lio Rush interrupts him to say he shouldn't act like he's the only one with something to prove. Also, he got a card from MVP too, so Ricochet isn't special. Ricochet says he has no plans to work with them, so don't get it twisted. Rush comes back to say he just wanted to make sure Ricochet isn't overlooking him, because if he's not careful he's not going to be getting any title shot, but instead put right to the back of the line. "I'll see you out there." Lexi backstage again after a commercial break, this time to talk to Kyle Fletcher, and he says he's here on family business. He's here to keep an eye on Ricochet, but further than that he's here to talk about this coming Wednesday. He's already called out Will Ospreay, and if he shows up it will be the last time we see him, but if he doesn't, it will prove he's a selfish coward. Fletcher also says he'll be at Collision next weekend too, and he wants to face someone new, an up-and-comer in AEW, so that he can prove he's no longer the future, he is the now. The next match happened between Penelope Ford versus Robin Renegade, and the result of this match was Penelope Ford defeated Robin Renegade by submission after applying the Mutalock to score a tap. Post-match, Hayter appeared on the big screen and said that on November 6th it's her chance to stand across the ring from her. The ball is in her court. Will she be there? Because Hayter will be. Lexi backstage talking to FTR and the Outrunners, and she wonders about how they'll help each other prepare for their matches tonight. The Outrunners have been doing nothing but eating steaks and lifting plates, and Cash Wheeler plays into the 80s gimmick by getting a pump and talking like they did back then. Dax Harwood comes in to say he's not lubed up enough for this, a few more words and the Outrunners hit the catchphrase to send them out for their match. The next match happened between the Outrunners versus MXM Collection, and the result of this match was the Outrunners defeated MXM Collection by pinfall when the Outrunners managed to avoid a follow-up Doomsday device before Total Recall for the 3 count. They cut to the interview Nigel did with Yuta earlier today, and Nigel says he's been tasked with the job of finding out why they did what they did to Bryan Danielson at WrestleDream. What they did risked permanent brain damage, not to mention gave him a trauma that will probably stay with him for the rest of his life. Maybe Yuta was swept up in the moment after Moxley gave him a bag, but he wants to hear the words out of his own mouth. Yuta said he thought Nigel of all people would understand. "What's the matter, Joker? You mad that we killed the Batman before you could?" Nigel said he dreamt of proving he was a better wrestler than Danielson, and Yuta mocked him for it. Nigel continued driving home how much damage they did to him, and Yuta said they gave him a warrior's death. He doesn't have the stomach for this anymore, and the American Dragon is long dead. They had to do it for the greater good, he claimed. Nigel says they crossed the line, and where does it stop? Yuta says he doesn't enjoy this, but he does it because he has to. If it wasn't for the BCC, where would he be? Sitting beside a corpse just hoping he would one day rise up and help him? He had no choice. He did what he had to do, and if they were willing to do that to someone they love, what do we think they'll do to everyone else? And then Yuta stormed off. Back to ringside, and Nigel told Tony he felt like he was trying to convince himself as much as anyone else. Jake Roberts hanging with Los Faction Ingobernables, and he says FTR hasn't proven to him he can't stay in the ring with the men he's with. They aren't just wrestlers, they're assassins, and they'll attack you, grab an arm, take the injured shoulder and twist it, bend it, and even break it. And Rush says they are LFI and they want to destroy FTR. The next match happened between Ricochet versus Lio Rush, and the result of this match was Ricochet defeated Lio Rush by pinfall after hitting his version of the Hidden Blade. Once again, backstage to Lexi, and she's talking to Harley Cameron, who claims that's not the case and actually it's Thunder Rosa. "You think you're the only one who can paint your face?" She said a few more words like a cat before Rosa showed up and scared the bejesus out of her. Rosa called her one of the nastiest pussycats she's ever seen in her life. Rosa says she has to teach Cameron what her face paint really means. Well, then, next week they'll have a match. Lexi backstage telling us Undisputed Kingdom asked for time with the Beast Mortos, and Roderick Strong said something is being lost in translation, but everyone knows they want him with them. So they brought some whoppers for him and he seemed confused. Strong called in Mike Bennett, who had his own mask and mimicked what they wanted him to do, and they then told him they are going to go trick or treating tonight. Everyone roared. The next match happened between Anna Jay versus Viva Van, and the result of this match was Anna Jay defeated Viva Van by pinfall with the Widow's Peak finisher. They put over Jay's win by saying she defeated a top international star ahead of challenging for the title. She's now 6-0 since returning from the Stardom tournament in August. Next week she'll take on Mariah May for the championship. They cut to comments from May, who says if Anna left the business tomorrow no one would give a shit. "We would just find some fat-ass blonde, teach her to do an arm drag, and watch her waste 9 months of her life." May says anyone who never gives up was never good enough to get it done in the first place. One pin in Japan doesn't make her good enough to be champion, and she knows there isn't a single woman alive who can touch her. You didn't beat the champ, but now you will face the champ and you will find out that behind all this glamour and gold is a woman from hell who will step on every dream you have ever had. You said it's sink or swim? That's nice, because now you're going to drown. Lexi backstage with Tomohiro Ishii and Kyle O'Reilly, and O'Reilly says he finds it laughable that Chris Jericho and the Learning Tree thought they could run Ishii out of AEW. Kyle sends it to Big Tom and he says a few words I don't understand because I don't know the language, back to O'Reilly, and he just agrees with what was stated. Lexi asks about O'Reilly paying extra close attention to Undisputed Kingdom, and he says he keeps his eye on everything in AEW. He's not living in the past, he's good with being with the conglomeration. In the main event of the show, we saw a match between FTR versus LFI, and the result of this match was FTR defeated LFI by pinfall with the Shatter Machine on Drolistico. While having their hand raised, Mortos hop the ring to attack from behind. Rush follows up and gets the horns. Before they can do any more, the Outrunners music hits and they run LFI off to a big pop, and the babyfaces end the show posing for the crowd.